Counter-offers have always been a huge topic of debate within the recruitment industry. Candidates considered time wasters for taking them, and recruiters treated with contempt for their efforts to convince the rest of the world that all counter-offers are evil. Now, this video is about giving you a simple trick that you can use to help you determine whether or not a counter-offer is the right thing for you at any point in time. At the point you decide to look for a new job, write down a list of the things that must change about your current job with your current employer in order for you to stay where you are. Then look at the list and make a decision about whether or not you think it's reasonable and fair for your employer to consider making those changes for you. And if the answer is yes, I want you to go to your manager, go to your employer and ask them to do that. The worst that can happen is that you're in exactly the same position as now, and you can go off and take part in the interview process and look for a job elsewhere. But if you're successful, you have just saved yourself a huge amount of time. So please do make the effort to try and negotiate better terms for yourself with your existing employer before entering into the interview process. Now, if you're unable or unwilling to do that with your existing employer, then obviously press ahead with the interview process. But I want you to make a note of that also, the fact that you felt unable to go to your existing manager, your existing employer, and raise a bunch of issues that they could potentially fix for you to encourage you to stay. It's a big deal not being able to go to them with those problems and ask them to fix them for you. And it should come back into your decision-making process further down the line. So we're skipping forward now to the part where you resign and a counter-offer comes your way. Now, you may find yourself in a situation where a counter-offer is made immediately. If that's the case, great, but don't feel pressured into accepting in that meeting. You're under no obligation to do so, and if your employer forces you to do that, then that's a big red flag for me, and treat that with serious caution. There's often motives behind someone doing that, and it's not likely to be something that's going to benefit you. So don't be pressured into making a decision. A reasonable employer will give you time to consider the offer in full and compare that against the offer that you've been made by a prospective employer. Now's the time to get out this list that you prepared earlier when you were emotionally detached from this current situation that you're in. Look at the list and look at the counter offer that's been made. Have all of the must change items on there been addressed? If not, it's not the offer for you. Now, if all of those must change items have been addressed, this is great. It's a good step towards a counter offer being the right thing for you. But you must now get these changes in writing. It's all too easy for someone to throw an offer at you. You turn down an offer with a prospective employer, and then in a few weeks' time, those changes aren't implemented. Worse, in 3-6 months' time, they're still not implemented. And you're back to square one. In fact, you're a step further back because you no longer have the offer that you were issued before. So make sure you get it in writing and that it's done within a reasonable amount of time. You don't want to decline the offer until the counter offer has been made in writing. And if that doesn't come within a reasonable amount of time, then clearly they're not serious or in a position to be able to follow through on the promise. So once you've got all these changes in writing and you're comfortable that these are going to be implemented and the other offer no longer offers you a compelling reason to leave, then now you'll probably be in a situation where the counter offer is the right thing for you. Remember, you followed your own advice here. You wrote down a list before you even entered the interview process as to the things that you needed to change in order to make you stay. If those things have now happened and there's no other compelling reason for you to leave, then stay put. So now for some words of caution about accepting counter offers. This isn't to try and put you off. I just want you to be fully informed so that you're not acting naively and you know what you're letting yourself in for. Now, an element of the employer-employee relationship is always broken at the point where you resign, even if you end up staying and accepting the counteroffer. Rightly or wrongly, managers may have it in the back of their mind that you are a potential flight risk. So when it comes to promotion and training opportunities, they may be inclined to give that to other people who they feel are more likely to stay for the longer term, so they'll see a better return on their investment. Now, if you've taken a counteroffer before accepting an offer of employment with another employer, then that's fair enough. There should be no hard feelings on their side. But if you've already accepted the offer and the counteroffer is something that you accept further down the line, then that can be taken quite badly on occasions. You may find that you have to burn your bridges with that particular employer, and you may not be prepared to do that. So really consider that and factor that in to your decision-making process before accepting the counteroffer. You may not have the opportunity to have another offer from that employer again in the future. Finally, bear in mind that there's a very good chance you're going to be moving on from this employer at some point in the future anyway. That's nothing to do with the fact that you've accepted a counteroffer. I know there are loads of statistics that are thrown out there by various different sources around people moving on within a short period of time following accepting a counteroffer. It's nothing to do with that, and simply to do with the fact that people move around significantly more than they used to in the employment market these days than, say, 20 years ago. So when you turn down an offer and you decide to stay with your existing employer, bear that in mind and make sure that you're confident that you're going to be able to secure yourself a better offer than that in the future when you need one. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found the content useful. Please do subscribe for future videos by CareerFit, which are released on a weekly basis.